So there's a lot of art in here. Was it all like Midjourney created or similar?
I didn't actually give the shout out. So a donation to the Environmental Center was made to offset the environmental impact of the generative AI use in this presentation. These systems are massively power hungry and very water thirsty, on an unsustainable trajectory of growth right now. So yes, I did use generative AI, and thank you for calling it out. Midjourney for some of it. Midjourney is interesting because, in my opinion, because of its AI interface, in that it's using Discord, but it's not a chatbot. You got to be very specific on what you kind of give it in order to get what you want out of it. So it's a bit of a different interface. I also use ChatGPT and GPT-4o. DALL-E is what's behind it for a lot of these. And that's a different interface. You know, they're trying to, you know, that's the system prompting the image generation system. If you actually look at ChatGPT's system prompt, a good 70% of it is actually instructions for DALL-E. Like when you have a request to generate an image, follow all of these rules. And so that's the AI prompting the AI, which when you go into those, by the way, when you do that, there's a little info button icon on your generated image. You can see what prompt it actually gave it.
I don't think we know a whole lot about it yet, but I know Apple did introduce their Apple Intelligence kind of aspect. What are your thoughts on a company like Apple, which at least presents itself as privacy, you know, gurus, or like that's what you're paying the premium for?
Yeah, great question. Wow, did they screw up that reputation with that announcement?
It's a big air quotes.
Like it was really actually quite surprising. I saw a great, you know, image of it's the, you know, person sucking the other person's drink with the long straw behind them with, you know, OpenAI, the person sucking out of, you know, Apple users' straws. And that's kind of what they're setting up. You know, they've come out with, what's innovative in what they've come out with is, well, frankly, it's not as innovative. Google is saying the same thing. On-device AI. They want, hey, you've got your, you know, little on-device thing. It should be able to manage most of your requests, but, you know, we'll also connect you to other services and get you responses. I just don't know, frankly, why they didn't come up with their own service in some way, shape, or form. Why they went to market with OpenAI first and sullied that reputation, because they could have done the same hybrid cloud, hybrid computing type of architecture on their own back end and likely retained all of the, you know, love that they get for being privacy first, privacy aware. One final thing I'll say is one of the interesting techniques for securing your data when using public language models is called opaque prompting. You can strip out personally identifiable or sensitive information from your prompts and replace it with placeholders, and then, you know, recombine it when you get the response. There are actually now some tools that will do that. You know, strip out the PII, send it up, get a response back, recombine the PII, and give you the full response back. That, I think, is the future of this sort of on-device, off-device. That's what we're trying to build at Quai. Is the idea that, hey, your data is your data, it shouldn't have to go elsewhere unless you want it to, and that should be done on the principle of least privileged access to your personal data.
Almost like an AI VPN?
Yeah, a little bit. I think of it almost like a universal remote in a way of, you know, it may not be the most capable agent and, you know, companion on device, but if it knows, if it's looking out for numero uno, and I can control every aspect of that, then perhaps I can use that to also help me wrangle and control all of these AI services, APIs that exist everywhere, control those services in a more natural way.
Are you on the doom side of things for AI?
So there's the Bayesian theorists actually have a word for this. It's P-doom, your probability of AI doom. I have a nuanced thought on that. Like, I don't think that we are necessarily going to see the AI take over. I definitely think we are seeing the technocrats take over right now, and they're using AI as a massive curmudgeon, to beat us over the head with regulatory policies and things like that. Personally, this technology is not going to get us to any doom, but I do subscribe to Louis Rosenberg's arrival mind paradox, which is basically like, look, if the stated goal is an artificial superintelligence, and that's what we are developing towards, then we could just assume that we'll likely get there in a few years. We're working really hard, spending a bunch of money on it, or we'll get something like it. And if we're doing that, maybe we should treat that as if it's a superintelligence, an extraterrestrial superintelligence coming towards us, and instead of pre-integrating it with all of our services, instead thinking about fortifying our services and our knowledge domains against it. And that, I think, is actually where our doom is going to come from. I think we stand a huge chance of destroying our internet, which is a bummer because I liked it. And I think that the value of human-created, verifiable knowledge is going to absolutely shoot up. We've been de-siloing data and connecting all the things and de-siloing. I honestly think the next big companies are going to be real strong silos of information. Really strong, protected silos of information, where it's got all of the provenance backed up. So I think that's actually the biggest risk, is that we're eroding both our social fabrics, things like disrupting artists and in a wholesale way like we've done, as well as fuzzing our information and drawing into question its provenance.
On that front, do you have any ideas about proving provenance of information? That is like proof of humanity in some produced work?
Well, the tech bro answer to that is blockchain now. Again, it's the solution in search of a problem. No, it's hard to. I was really enjoying your presentation and just also what you were doing of like, look, you're younger and you're up here and you're telling a bunch of folks like us that have been in the industry for a while, like, hey, maybe you should look at things like a little bit differently, or lighten up over here and think about it like this. That interplay of like junior to senior is also what's at risk. This sort of that senior saying, well, no, you're an idiot, you should do it, well, and then you go, no, well, actually think about it like this, and then, oh, okay, well, all right, yeah, I guess, and that's how progress is made, through conflict. And if you're working with systems that don't conflict with you, that are literally designed to tell you what you want to hear, then we're gonna have a bunch of principal engineers with agentic corporations behind them, designing things the way that they think it needs to be designed without that actual
So it's actually a
feedback.
feature that they make lots of mistakes.
That's exactly right. I personally believe that.
No, they make lots of features.
That's right. And you can qualify it as a bug or a feature either way. No, that I think is what's at risk here, is just that sort of breakdown in knowledge transfer. If people freeze their grandma in a large language model and always go to grandma for advice, then they never let grandma go. And so, I think we're messing with some psychological things that, maybe we should be more cautious of.
Where do you stand on open sourcing these models? Because Llama is I don't know, what you mentioned in your presentation, that the weights and the data are not open source, right, and what they're trained on is all closed source. So do you think that it would be better for everybody if the models and the data and the weights for all these corporations are open source? Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
That is a really, really good question, and I was an open source zealot for a long time. I worked at a company called Bitnami, which was basically an open source arms dealer for the cloud providers, packaging and getting people to use open source software all over the place. This is the first time that I've been like, oh, whoa, like, this is like nuclear launch codes is open source. There's some things that these systems can do that are already being done. And of course, the bad actors always go first, with any new tool. So I think it was hugely irresponsible of releasing a general purpose bullshit calculator to the world. I think Meta is doing their open source thing purely to cover their ass in case that comes back to bite OpenAI. Oh, hey, you're liable for the outputs of this system that you're hosting, and frankly, why wouldn't they be? But Meta has been playing this game for a long time. Hey, we're not liable for the stuff that our users are posting on, social media. That's just the users, and those users. So they've been used to playing this game for a long time, and they're just trying to play it again with the language models. That being said, the side that I think I come down on is, this tool has been put out there, and I do think that we need to think closely about whether we want to put iterative iterations of this tool out there. But those that we do have out there should be open source, and we should be building now against this sort of new technology frontier and understanding these systems, because the magical thinking and sort of that pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz type of experience that they're selling serves nobody.
Are the Mistral models, are they also closed on the training?
Yeah. There's one, Common Canvas is the name of it. It just came out. It's a diffusion model that's trained on fully licensed data, so fairly trained. Also fairlytrained.org. One of the guys from Stable Diffusion actually was like, wow, this is really shitty that we're doing this to everybody, and he quit and he went and founded fairlytrained.ai to try to get licensable training data for models. They just created a new diffusion model, not them, but they got certified, that is based on licensed data from artists. This stuff is all going in, and if you ask it for Elsa, from Frozen, Snow Princess from Frozen, it doesn't exactly look like Elsa from Frozen. So you can really actually see the capabilities of those models, which is why I say it said up front, these systems wouldn't be nearly as magical and impressive if this massive theft of copyrighted data hadn't taken place.